One day, Quacker was thinking. That's right, thinking. What am I going to play? Nothing. I know, I'll play this instead. Hi everyone, and welcome to Game Club. This is the third season of the series, and we thank you for firstly joining us and supporting us. So, what's up next? Lots of different things, but we'll start with today's first game, which is North Star Games just here, Evolution, the game of ecosystems, evolution and adaptation. It's about the adaptation of species in a hostile environment, trying to evolve to become the dominant species there. It's a card placement game, and I'll basically walk you through what's in the box, as well as then I'll also walk you through the components and how it looks as well. We've decided this season to kind of explore more the boxes and sort of talk you through some of the games, but not do playthroughs, because we find the playthroughs a little bit more hostile. People prefer to do Evolution, for instance, have a great North Star Games walk through and run through. Just to let you know as well, there's an app as well for this, which is available. There are lots of expansions, but we're going to look at the original game, and hopefully you will enjoy joining us and seeing what we think. Also, just to note, this is an award-winning game, so that will certainly not bias us in any way, shape or form, but we are obviously well aware of that. Anyway, join us as we review and unbox Evolution by North Star Games. So I'll start by unboxing the Evolution box. Finally, right. Just to start, I really like this box work art. I think it's lovely and colourful. It's very attractive on shelves, and also I think it really gives a presence to the look as well as also the feel of the game. And there's our Evolution rules, which are quite thick and I think quite substantive. I'm not wrong in thinking that. Yep, they're quite substantive, and I think it's one of those games has quite a deep level of complexity. Okay, so then we've got some great scientific names, or that we'll pass on, and there we go, some other stuff from North Star, the brilliant North Star Games. So these are some scientific names which are really useful, and then we've got some lovely token items here. Oh, that's a really nice playing board there, and then these wonderful cards which you get with it, and then this massive dinosaur, which I love as well. Right, okay, brilliant. I think that's I really have to say I really like the level of work that's been put into Evolution here. I think that they've really done fantastically well here. So anyway, join us as we play Evolution. So now we've unboxed it, we're going to unbox it again effectively, and we're going to tell you what we think of the game itself. Before obviously looking at my face while I tell you, that was not as much fun as it probably appeared, but firstly to the rulebook itself. Right, after running through the rulebook, there's a lot of functionality in the rulebook. I like the way it's set out. There's a sort of streamlined process, and it's very much directing the player to play the game without any kind of bogging down of additional rules. The only problem is that, to be fair, there are a lot of phases which, though sufficient and required, it does become a problem of having to go step by step, which can bog you down while playing it. However, after I think 4 or 5 plays, or after you really get the hang of it, it will streamline through, and I think a lot of people who have enjoyed that, or at least backed it, and backed later versions have certainly been able to do that. The one thing I would say is that I like the fact that there is the 2-player rules, which are well defined and well put out, and we played them, and to be honest with you, I think that this was the most clearest use of the game possible. I like the glossary, and I like the fact that I'm always a fan of these, where you actually explain what the cards do, because often what you find is they say refer to the card, and the problem is the card sometimes is poorly written or poorly defined, and this is really kind of fleshes out a lot of that. And then of course you've got the advertising in the back for Flight and Climate, which both will be very interesting. Maybe we shall play those. Player aids, once again, pretty useful, although a lot longer than you'd normally expect the player aid to be, because they have all of the cards inside, which is helpful, but I prefer looking at the booklet. And then in the back you've got your prefix, suffix, which I think is really good. I actually really like that. I think that's admirable. Lovely design on this. I like the look of it. I think that the evolution watering hole, I like that. I think that this game visually is really good, especially also if you look at the trait cards, for instance. I think they're really well defined, really colourful, real presence in there, real thought behind what they've been doing, and it's generally saying that, I'd say that it's one of the better visual games. It's got a real defined visuality. This dinosaur as well is good fun, although it's completely cumbersome and pointless, especially if you're defining the first player, because it just becomes slightly an irritant, to be fair. These are wonderful. These are player cards, so you can obviously effectively choose your team. I like the fact that you've got this lovely savannah in the back, and then you've got this lovely crocodilius, which I think is absolutely amazingly sort of distinctive, and something that I'd probably put on my wall if I had the chance to. And I love, once again, I'm in love with the artwork of this game. I think it's brilliant. Then you've got your token pieces, which are a little small and a little precarious. They can damage easily, which I'm not a massive fan of. And then you've got your point tokens as well, which they're okay. Finally, you get to your cards. I think these are well done. I'm not a massive fan of the blocks going in them though, because they can be a little bit kind of it's just a little bit awkward, because they can slip out and they can move and they can flick, especially if you're playing it and you're playing say a fast game. The game, especially if you play 2 players and the game moves quite quickly, it becomes a bit of a problem, slightly problematic. Which brings us to the review of the game, and I will say the following. I think the game as a card placement game is probably one of the best that there is on the market. It's been around for quite some time, I believe. It's been around since 2017, so that's a good 2 years. So it certainly has a presence, and you can tell why. It's got a distinctive visual narrative, a distinctive gameplay narrative. It's a really well put together game. It's one that there is a core theme which anyone can get, the theory of evolution and evolutionary processes. It's also a game that has a level of educational value to it, so you're teaching or you're learning while playing. But the problem is the game's 5 phases make it slightly cumbersome, unless you're really playing it in 2-player, and then it moves quite quickly. However, if you're prepared to invest in that, and I say this very much distinctly to anyone who likes playing games, if you're prepared to invest in this game, i.e. time, and also patience, you will be rewarded. It's a brilliant game, well worth hunting out, and I will have to commend North Star Games, who have given us this copy for free to review. That they have done a great job of this, and we look forward to playing more of their games. Now, it's absolutely no surprise that the Oxford University used this in their teaching of evolution. It makes perfect sense. I mean, the game is a sophisticated understanding or conceptualization of what evolution is, as well as also adding into that layers of how things evolve and how they adapt to fit certain climates and ecosystems. Where the problem comes about though is that the game really is a narrative about how a creature or being is adapting to its environment, and if played with 2 players, the adaptation process works rapidly. With 3, 4, 5 players, it becomes slightly more stilted, but actually, to be fair, that's probably more realistic, because things evolve over time very slowly, and this is the problem a lot of people have with understanding evolution, is that evolution is not a magical bullet. It doesn't happen instantly. It's not a revolution, it's an evolution, it's a slow build, and the game gets that factor well. But I prefer the two-player game because of the fact that there is a rapidity to it, there's a movement to it, and you can feel that the game is dynamic enough. And I use that word a lot, but what I mean is that the game basically shifts and keeps the player involved and invested in it. Because if you have 5 players or 6 players, I think I've played this with 6 people, it can go up to 6 people, I just checked, it becomes a little bit more stilted, and that is problematic because what happens is, now maybe it's just to be devil's advocate, could be the people we're playing it with, but the problem is that you begin to be disengaged from it, so you're kind of waiting for someone else's turn, because it's a card placement game where you already know pretty much what you're doing next turn, because you're taking a card and you're adapting literally to your surroundings and understanding. Yes, it does, your gameplay does change slightly or shift slightly when you're playing, but to me personally, I found that 2 players is best. Yes, 3 or 4 players was okay, but 6 players, it felt too stifled. However, this is a brilliant game, one of those great games that I think North Star Games deserve a lot of credit. I'll just find it. There we go. North Star Games deserve a lot of credit for. Yes, it's become a series and it's newish on the market. I'm sorry, 2017 for me is still newish on the market, but it's well worth hunting out and finding. If you like card games, if you like games where you can play with 2 players and you can really have a great sort of a battle as such, this is your game. Evolution. So that was Evolution. I'm Simon, and this was Game Club, and thank you again for watching.